The defense has just rested its case. Chauvin did not take the stand, choosing instead to invoke the Fifth Amendment. Leading us off this hour, NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Gabe, let's start with you. We heard a pulmonologist say he did not believe that carbon monoxide was to blame, battling what defense experts said just yesterday. So what's been the reaction to that? What else have we heard from the courtroom today?
Well, Morgan, it's actually been a jam-packed morning, and let me work my way backwards. A lot has happened in just the last few moments. The defense rested, as you mentioned, but then the prosecution has rested as well after calling its rebuttal witness. And now the judge says that closing arguments are set for Monday. So essentially the jury is going home for now. We'll have tomorrow off. We'll come back here on Monday, hear closing arguments, get their jury instructions, and then begin deliberations on Monday. The jury will then be sequestered. Before that, Dr. Martin Tobin, one of the expert witnesses that the prosecution had previously called, was called back to the stand as a rebuttal witness to get into that issue that you mentioned, Morgan, about carbon monoxide poisoning that the defense brought up yesterday. He said that he believed that had nothing to do with George Floyd's death. He reiterated that he thought George Floyd died due to lack of oxygen. Before that, Morgan, there was also some developments because the prosecution, during motions away from the jury, had brought up that they wanted to introduce new evidence, these lab tests that got to that issue of carbon monoxide poisoning. They said they had just heard from one of their witnesses, the medical examiner, and that he had drawn their attention to these lab tests. The judge said, no, that is not admissible because, he says, that is not how they should operate. That evidence should not be introduced at this point. And if they got into that testimony at all, he hinted that it could be a mistrial. So he said no. Before that, Morgan, we heard from Derek Chauvin outside of the view of the jury. He invoked his Fifth Amendment right not to testify. Here is what he said in court without the jury present. Take a listen.
Is this your decision not to testify?
It is, Your Honor.
All right. Do you have any questions about your right to remain silent or to testify on your own behalf?
Not at this time, I don't.
All right. Has anyone promised anything or threatened you in any way to keep you from testifying?
No promises or threats, Your Honor.
Do you feel that your decision not to testify is a voluntary one on your behalf?
Yes, it is.
So, Morgan, that had been one of the looming questions on this trial. Would Derek Chauvin himself take the stand? And we now know that he will not. And again, the prosecution and the defense have rested. Closing arguments now set for Monday. Morgan.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.